I think some very important, good practices have come out of both these gentlemen, though they have not answered directly the question, are they making money on advisory, which of course I'll ask Rajesh, who are not a bank and have done, I think, a real pioneering job when it comes to wealth management. But I think 2-3 takeaways which I see from both their speakers. One is importance of maintaining logs. I think this is a very good point which Ashish has said, that whenever you meet a customer, it is important that you keep a log of what was the discussion which was held. And I think it would be advisable if you can just drop an email saying that this is what we discussed, this is what my advice was. And over a period of time, I think these logs, maintenance of logs would be a very good trust building exercise, which could be very helpful, because the client does understand that, consistently this person has been advising like this, which has, and as time predicts, it could go one way or the other, but that honesty in the advice and maintenance of those logs are very important. And Rajiv said, lot of products, products which will suit the person needs. I think you should have a basket of products, and I'm an insurance agent, I will only sell insurance, that kind of thought has to go out. We need to upgrade our skills to understand, the intricacies, like debt market. Everybody says, though 40% is debt market, how many people can actually say what is the current yield, what is the yield to maturity, how do you, break the coupon, what is the current coupon, how is it included in price, not included in price, the debentures which are listed on the exchanges, they are going for a return as high as 14%. And these are secured debentures. You look at State Bank of India. State Bank of India gives an interest of 8%, 7.5%. But State Bank bond, which are securitized bond, which have full security attached to it, goes for 9.5% yield. So, why would anybody put money in State Bank of India FD? You would go and bind a bond on the exchange. But this is because lack of knowledge on people's part to really explain to them. And I think the use of technology, which, again, Rajiv talked about, that you need to really familiarize yourself into, dispensing advice, into, whatever you want to communicate. I think technology use would have to be maximum to really make a success, because you're not going to make reports every week. If you have a software which would, just generate the reports and email it automatically to people, I think that would make a lot of difference. So, these 2-3 things, I think, because as I said, end of the day, when you go from here, in your mind, you should have a list of things to do which you start doing from tomorrow. So I think these are some of the points which are useful. And now I would ask Rajesh 2 things. One is, you have, your firm is a real pioneer when it comes to portfolio management and merchant banking, portfolio management and fund management and wealth management. You have done a fantastic job. And I think, we keep talking about trust, but here is one organization which has really captured the trust of the people who have, and I have met a lot of their customers in India, in abroad, and, you ask them, they say, we are very happy with Ask, and we would not want to go anywhere else. So this kind of trust is something. So is this, just the persons who have managed the money well, or what are the processes of trust building that your organization has followed, which has, made you so successful in this venture?
2 things. When we launched financial planning and wealth advisory in 2007, the whole concept of fee-based service was very, very new. And we broke up the service into various parts, be it for creating a financial plan or reviewing a portfolio or presenting a plan. There were separate fees for each of these products. And we said there'll be no fee that we will earn from product commission, but purely from the planning and advisory part. And it was amazing. Even in the year 2007, the first year of operation, we got fees of 1.5 crores for people who just paid us to create a plan and review their portfolio. Obviously, you have to live up to that. Once you start this, and you have to ensure that you don't mix it. And one of the things that we tried to do was centralize advice, where we took away the decision of advice or decision of recommendation from an advisor, and we made it a process where there was a central team involved in every single portfolio decision. So 2 or 3 things that we put in place really helped to build that credibility. And over 2009, we've also gone into the ultra HNI segment. So while we were there in the lower end, we also focused on ultra HNI, and surprisingly, they were willing to pay us fees. So even today, 35% of my revenues comes from fees that are paid by clients, where we do no execution of products. We give that allocation to all the other wealth managers, but we become a mid-office between him and all his wealth managers. And that's something that is really picking up, where there is absolutely no conflict of interest. You are just getting a fee from the client. He's willing to pay it as long as you can demonstrate value. And yes, because the market is slightly immature and people are still learning the concept of asset allocation, etc., the focus still at the end becomes investment performance and whether you've delivered returns or not. But I see that changing. And there are many, many families who want to just pay you a fee only for advisory. And it's not even true in India, it's even globally. I just attended a conference in Singapore where there are many companies that are setting up fee-based businesses. And they just don't want any execution. They will charge fee. You have to get your model right in terms of people, your cost, your infrastructure to ensure that you make money. But I strongly believe over the next 5-6 years, it will be a very, very good model in which you can even make good money.
Thanks, Rajesh. I think last question before I throw it open to the audience. Could you throw some light? You have just started wealth management. I think in 2 to 3 years, I think Edelweiss has got into wealth management. Do you think that the quality of staff, or rather the certifications and other things with which the people come, does it fully equip them to play the role of a wealth manager? Or you need to supplement them by giving additional training and stuff like that?
Well, I'll answer this on behalf of the wealth management team because I head the AMC, but I work with them very closely. And I can tell you at Edelweiss, there's a very huge emphasis on training. Not just training, but upgradation. Because you have to not just learn new things, but you have to constantly sharpen the saw. And I would dare say that this is not just restricted to Edelweiss. I'm seeing this across all financial planning outfits, wealth management outfits, wealth creation outfits, which are doing very well. So one of the key tenets, if you see somebody doing very well in this business, is probably that they are ensuring that their people are up to speed without forgetting the basics. So I think this is something which is pretty much, everybody's got a different model to do it.
Do you see a big gap between what they have learned and what is actually necessary to perform their job?
At times, yes. In fact, let me qualify, most of the time, yes. You probably know a lot more than what the client wants. But the idea is to stay ahead of the curve. You will be in a very difficult situation if your client knows more than you. Then I don't think he's going to pay you any fee for knowing. Then he'll just say, okay, just manage my portfolio. I'll pay you a fee for administration, not for managing my portfolio. So it's very necessary. And I think situation is getting more and more complex with each passing year. The explosion of information, which is happening, the connectivity which is happening globally. One event at one corner of the world can affect the other. I think you need to constantly be aware. I think one of the other things which I want to mention here is, apart from product training or product learning, one of the key emphasis I'm seeing now is on technology. Most people who are into wealth management are very, very up to speed in terms of technology. Not just making beautiful PowerPoint presentations, but actually knowing what happens where in terms of technology.
Thank you. I think we'll open we have about 7 minutes before we wind up. So I leave it to the audience. Please identify yourself and you can ask a question. Yeah, you have Sadiq over here. Sadiq?
My question is, my name is Sadiq Nilgund from Network FP. My question is to Mr. Rajesh Saluja. You said 35% of your overall revenues now come from the fee-based. Can you highlight or just throw some light on what kind of various fees which you charge and what's the percentage or retainer, whatever is the fee model which you charge to the HNIs?
It's advisory. It's mainly
Advisory, yeah.
The advisory fee, you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's customized. It could be a flat fee depending on how much of assets he has given us to manage. It could be just a flat fee structure, or it could be a percentage of assets under management, and it could range right from 0.25 up to 1% depending on the assets.